Cannes 2026 has already unveiled its official competition lineup, which this year is not dominated by Hollywood, but by some of the great auteurs of world cinema. According to some reviews, which are already out there because the film has been released in Spain, which is rather curious, Bitter Christmas is the film with which Pedro Almodovar should finally win the Palme d'Or. He has already won an Oscar and a BAFTA for the screenplay of Talk to Her, and the Best Director award here at Cannes for All But My Mother, but we know he won't stop until he gets the Palme d'Or. The Argentine actor Leo Sbaraglia plays Almodovar within his own film, that is, a film director grappling with the typical difficulties of writing a screenplay until the events in the lives of those around him become irresistible material for his plot. What is more important, the intimacy of the emotions of those around me or my personal realization and success as an artist? The question is asked by Almodovar, and the answer lies in the conscience of each of us and also in his own, especially when he receives the prize he wants so bad.
Es una historia de amor, de gente que no puede mirarse a los ojos.
Spanish cinema completes its strong presence this year with The Beloved by Rodrigo Sorogoyen, winner of the César Award for The Beasts and Oscar-nominated for his short film Mother, and La Bola Negra by Los Javis, Calvo and Ambrosi. Known for their success in television, they are making the leap to Cannes with an adaptation of an unfinished play by Federico García Lorca about society's rejection of homosexuality. It promises to spark conversation as well as providing the perfect excuse for Penelope and Javier to shine together on the red carpet. Next up is another heavyweight, Asghar Farhadi, who presents Parallel Tales.
Adam, enchanté.
The Iranian director won 2 Oscars for Separation and The Salesman, and has also won awards at Cannes and Berlin. His new film, the first to be shot in France, promises to be an ensemble drama centered on moral dilemmas and complex decisions, in which Sylvie, seeking inspiration for her new novel, begins to spy on her neighbors across the street, just like Pedro did. Cristian MUNGIU arrives from Romania with FJORD. Winner of the Palme d'Or for 4 months, 3 weeks and 2 days, MUNGIU is one of the most respected figures in European cinema. This time, he presents a legal thriller in Northern Europe, where the daughter of an immigrant family turns up at school with bruises, raising suspicions about her parents' methods of discipline, exploring clashing views of parenting, individual freedom and social conformity within a close-knit community. And when it comes to intense cinema, Andrey ZVYAGINTSEV makes his mark with MINOTAUR. The plot follows a successful corporate executive whose orderly world comes crashing down as a crisis erupts within his company in the wake of global chaos, just as he discovers that his wife is being unfaithful to him, exploring emotional and moral collapse amidst personal and political crisis. The Russian director won the jury prize at Cannes for Leviathan and at Venice for The Return. His films, always charged with political and symbolic tension, tend to generate much debate and critical attention. Among the most intriguing proposals is Ship in the Box by Japanese director Hirokazu KORE-EDA, winner of the Palme d'Or for Shoplifters. This time he ventures into science fiction. Curious, isn't it? With a story in which a Green couple adopts a humanoid robot as a son, raising questions about the use of technology to replace loved ones, reminiscent of Steven Spielberg's AI, artificial intelligence. This shift in his filmography could be one of the festival's biggest surprises. Also from Japan comes Ryûsuke Hamaguchi with All of a Sudden, which tells the story of the deep connection between the director of a French care home who seeks to humanize care at her center in Paris and finds emotional support in the place and friendship of a Japanese theater director battling cancer. It is based on the correspondence You and I, The Illness Soon Gets Worse by philosopher Makiko Miyano and anthropologist Maho Hisono. Winner of the Oscar and the Best Screenplay Award at Cannes for Drive My Car, Hamaguchi returns with an intimate drama center of human relationships. It's interesting how the world wars have been in the spotlight lately. One of the films generating the most hype is KORE-EDA, a war drama set during the First World War in which a young Belgian soldier battles his own cowardice and seeks heroism in the trenches. Following the impact of Girl, winner of the Queer Palm and the Golden Camera at Cannes, and Close, which won the Grand Prix, Lukas returns with a film that is entirely different in tone from his previous works, yet once again explores an emotionally uncomfortable and profound territory. Among the big names is also Laszlo Nemes, winner of the Oscar for Son of Saul and the Grand Prix at Cannes. Moulin follows Jean Moulin, one of the leading heroes of the French Resistance, from the moment he parachutes into occupied France to unite the fighters under de Gaulle's command, through his capture by the Gestapo in 1943 and brutal torture at the hands of German officer Klaus Barbie, leaving him in a condition that led to his death during his transfer to Berlin. The French resistance during the Second World War is also the period explored in A Man of His Time, in which Swann-Arlot plays Henri Marais, a character inspired by director Emmanuel Marais' own great-grandfather, who arrives in Vichy with his political manuscript Notre Salut, which he intends to publish to make a name for himself under the new regime and help France and himself from collapse. This is the second time Marais participates in Cannes, following Zero Fucks Given. Another strong contender is the Polish director Paweł Pawlikowski, who is competing with Fatherland, a new black-and-white film focusing on the post-war life of the writer Thomas Mann, exploring exile and the position of the Mann family against Nazism. Pawlikowski won an Oscar for Aida and received 3 nominations for Cold War, for which he won the Best Director award at Cannes. Is this the moment to take home the Palme d'Or? Ask Pedro. Nagi Notes follows the encounter between Yoriko, a sculptor haunted by a past love, and Yuri, an architect running away from a personal crisis. As Yuri poses as a model for Yoriko, both women undergo an intimate process of grief, remembrance, and emotional healing in a story that explores how art can become a bridge to reframe loss and redefine identity. Winner of the jury prize in the Uncertain Regard section at Cannes for Harmonium and a competitor at Venice with Love Life, Koji Fukada offers a quiet, contemplative style of filmmaking centered of human connections. The Man I Love follows a theater actor who, living with AIDS, confronts mortality while seeking beauty and love in his final major role. In a competition with little American representation, Ira Sachs takes center stage. An independent filmmaker known for his intimate, relationship-focused dramas set in New York, he is known for his sensitive and realistic take on the complexity of human relationships, family, and LGBTQ+ identity. The American presence at the festival was so minimal that, sometime after the official competition had been announced, Paper Tiger, directed by James Gray, was added to the lineup, with its star-studded cast set to make a splash on the red carpet. Last year, B. Gunn entered in the same way and won the jury special prize. Will the same happen with this film around brothers chasing the American dream, but who are on the verge of betraying one another when the Russian mafia becomes a real threat to the whole family? Austrian director Mary Kreutzer returns with Gentle Monster following the acclaim for Corsage, a BAFTA-nominated film starring Vicky Krieps, who won an award at Cannes. This time, Lucy, a well-known pianist, moves with her family to the countryside in search of peace and quiet, but her life falls apart when the arrest of her husband Philip reveals devastating betrayals that force her to confront dark family secrets. After winning an Oscar and the Palme d'Or as the screenwriter of Anatomy of a Fall, French director Arthur Harari presents The Unknown, based on a screenplay co-written with Lukas Harari, Vincent Poimiro, and Justine Triet. This is the third feature film and is loosely based on the graphic novel Le Cas David Zimmerman, which Harari co-wrote with his brother Lukas, and in which the protagonist is attracted to a woman he meets in a party, follows her in the middle of the night, and wakes up in her body. From South Korea comes Na Hong-jin, a frequent director at Cannes, although he hasn't been seen here for a decade. This time he brings us hope. His dark, tension-filled cinema could well offer one of the most intense experiences of this year's festival. Lea Misius, an Oscar nominee for the screenplay of Emilia Perez, presents her third feature film, The Birthday Party. In a quiet rural setting, Nora is preparing for her fourth birthday with her husband and daughter until the arrival of mysterious strangers in the village take us on a journey between the sensorial and the fantastic. A Woman's Life by the French actress and director Charline Bourgeois-Taquet tells the story of a 50-year-old surgeon who, in the midst of a crisis at the hospital, welcomes a novelist seeking research material for a book she's writing, which leads her to wonder about love, desire and aging. Also for France, Jean-Henri is in the running with Another Day. In this film, the story explores 8 years of personal twists and turns, love and heartbreak in the life of a young actress in Paris who is battling alcohol addiction. From Germany comes The Dream Adventure by Valeska Grisebach, in which a woman who agrees to deal to help an old friend finds herself going into dangerous territory where she has to face her own desires. Among the other highlights on the program is popular one-way night coach, John Travolta's directorial debut, based on a book he wrote. Meanwhile, Andy Garcia will present Diamond, a film he worked on for almost 15 years and which marks his return to directing. Fulfill, an entertaining father-daughter story by Quentin Dupieux, starring Kristen Stewart and Woody Harrelson. American directors Steven Soderbergh and Ron Howard will present each one new documentaries in the special screening section on John Lennon and the photographer Richard Avedon. And don't miss Visitation by Volker Schlendorf and When the Night Falls by Daniel O'Tale.